Hello, I'm Lizzy.
And I'm Izzy, and we need help.
Each week we stumble through a new book, method, or concept that brings us one step closer to being our best self.
Yes, we make fun of ourselves.
And others.
But mostly just ourselves. So here's to not taking self-help quite so seriously.
Welcome to We Need Help. I'm Lizzy.
And I'm Izzy, and this month We Need Help is covering the topic of sex. And I'm super excited to introduce our next guest, Dr. Mindy, who's a sexologist. Really exciting. Welcome, Dr. Mindy.
Thank you, Mindy, for being here.
Thank you, guys. I'm so excited to talk about all the little sexy things in life.
Well, we need it.
Yeah.
Izzy, tell her why we're doing this.
Because we come up with topics that we need help with every month. And I definitely need help in this area. I've been feeling completely disconnected from like any sexual energy that I've ever had. Like I'm feeling depleted, like completely detached from that part of myself. Really struggling. So that's why we decided to do this topic. So hopefully by the end of the month, I'll be a little closer to reconnecting with that part of myself.
And like any good friend, I decided to glom onto her problem.
She's like, let's expose it. Let's expose it. Let's exploit your problem.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of what I do is really breaking down myths around sex, because there's already so much pressure around sex and how sexy we should feel and how we should be wanting sex to a certain level and so much of our time. But that's just not the case for most people. So I'm really happy that this is something that you guys are willing to share your personal experience. And hopefully we can talk about some tips here and there that can help you feel good inside your body again.
Yeah.
What are like some of the number one myths like behind?
So
like what I think that so many times people feel weird and abnormal if they're not on the cover of a magazine like in bondage.
I would say so. Remember when the pandemic hit like 2 years ago back in March, and everybody, like society, was saying we're gonna have this big baby boom because everyone is just home having sex. And that was the exact opposite, actually, of what I was seeing in my private practice here in Miami. People were not. And so I think there is this myth that we should all be ready to go at all times and that we all should just be turned on all the time and be having all this sex with our partner. And that's just not real life.
I was really busy taking pictures of my food that I was eating.
Yes.
During COVID.
Good call. Good call.
Sorry to interrupt you, but I was like, that's what I was doing.
Yeah, I'm right.
But what did you find that people were doing?
So what I found was when the pandemic first hit, my phone started ringing off the hook for people in their early 20s, all the way 50s, 60s, of people who were not having sex. That was, and I would say I had the majority of younger couples really coming in during that time. A lot of them just feeling really badly internally, like individually for each of them, for not having more sex, as the news is kind of talking about these baby booms that they're predicting to have. It can just feel really shaming if you feel like you are the only person that this is happening to, and then there's all these societal pressures that are the opposite.
Well, I definitely, when my husband and I went through this, I definitely like felt awful about myself. I felt alone. I felt like nobody else, everybody was just out there having like porn sex.
Right.
And we were like, nothing good was happening in our bedroom. And I think a lot of people in marriages or relationships or whatever, if it's not happening for them, they feel ashamed.
Exactly. And whether you're in a relationship or not in a relationship, if you just feel that something different is happening with you than what you think other people are going through or what maybe the societal norm is in that area, it's extremely shameful. And it's actually something that so many of us don't talk about. sex is just something that's very, very vulnerable. I say it's very sticky, it's very vulnerable. So it's very easy for us to internalize it and feel shameful about it and not want to talk to other people about it.
Yeah.
And then you have that one girlfriend that you talk to that she knows everything.
Or that she's having like
The
the
good, the bad.
best, sex ever, and you're just like, oh, I feel even more ashamed, because there's always that one who's like, no, my husband and I have a great sex life. We have sex every day. And I'm like,
Right.
yeah.
It can go either way. And right,
Yeah.
when you have that one friend that maybe that's the truth or not, no matter what, hearing that, yeah, it can only make us maybe hide even more.
Yeah. So can I ask, I'm always super curious about people's stories. How did you get into this line of work? Like, what made you become inspired to be a sexologist?
Yeah, my clients actually. So I started, I went to University of Miami, and then I opened up an office in, if you guys know Miami, in downtown Miami, kind of the financial district. And I was working with amazing people, beautiful on the inside and out, people who were professionals, young, just doing really well in life, but struggling in relationships. And they continued to talk to me, and as I got to know them more, they would start opening up about their sex life. And a lot of them were struggling with performance anxiety, erectile dysfunction, premature ejaculation. And I was sitting across from them thinking, I don't know how the steps to officially help you. So that is when I went back to school to get my PhD in clinical sexology. And I actually had so much fun in class. Like, it was just such a fun program. I was like, this is my calling. I was that girl also that always wanted to talk about, so did you kiss? Tell me about the date. Tell me about this. That was always me. So my family, my friends are definitely not surprised that I ended up here. But it's not even like a job to me anymore. I absolutely just love working with my clients and talking to them.
Well, what you do for people is really give them like sexual freedom. Am I?
It goes so deep. So if you've been on my website or my Instagram, I talk about how sex is between the ears, not just between the legs. So when we have, yes, like just metabolize that, right? When we have sex, we're having sex in the mind. You're having an orgasm in the mind. You're having pleasure in the mind. So really, honestly, a lot of what I do is if you come in with a sexual dysfunction, yes, I have strategies, techniques, education I'll give you to work on. But the main piece of what I do is just help people really tap into their inner sexual self and their inner confidence.
That's amazing. So how do you touch on childhood stuff? Like, do you go back there and kind of work that stuff out, or do you sort of, because there's different schools of therapy, I suppose?
Yes, I absolutely go back there. So all of my sessions are about 50 minutes long, and they're all talk therapy. And I was a big fan of Freud. I studied Freud. So I am a big fan of kind of going back, and I want to know about your family dynamics and your childhood, your traumas. So I talk about in my sessions too how everything in our world impacts our libido, and it impacts how we experience sex.
So is it always the mother or just almost always the mother?
Almost always.
It's always.
It's always the mother.
Gotta love Freud.
I get that one up.
When in doubt, blame mom.
Exactly. We can't take everything face value from Freud, but I do like some of his beliefs and ideas. So
like I loved it. We said in the last podcast, we said, like, mom, you can keep your libido. No, thank you.
So I'm wondering if anything surprised you in your education. Like, did anything surprise you? Was anything like, oh, I didn't know that?
All of it. Everything was new. Everything. I think when I went to school and really started studying sex, it's very interesting because you go all the way back and, you know, you really learn about Masters and Johnson's when they studied the orgasm. But some of the most basic things that my professors would teach were, I was like, wow, that makes so much sense. For example, one of the pieces that I really try to share with all my clients is that the orgasm is just the bonus. Pleasure is really what we're going for. And that blew my mind because I really feel that I had always been taught, society also talked about, like, you have sex when you have the orgasm. Sex is penetration.
Eye on the prize,
Yeah,
baby.
and
Eye on the prize.
that's the goal. That's the goal.
Exactly. And that's what I went in with. So when my professor made this statement, I was like, wow.
Yeah, that is mind-blowing.
It really was. So I really try to pass that along, and it's not something that we necessarily read in a textbook. Yeah, but every day I was like, wow, I was very misled about sex.
So, like, a lot of our listeners, like, they listen to us just, like, to get a quick, like,
A quickie.
They need help. A quickie. So, like, when you're having a sex problem, let's just say you're not feeling it, or maybe your husband isn't feeling it, or wife, or partner, or whatever, where do you start? Because I'm guessing it's not porn hub.
It's not the free porn. No. And it's not a toy.
It's the paid porn. It's the paid
exactly.
porn.
You got to get the subscription.
Okay.
It's really funny because I have so many couples come in and they'll be like, you know, we've tried toys, we've tried porn, we've tried all these things. And I'm like, okay, guess what we're going to try next? We're going to try no sex. None. No sex.
Ooh.
So for no sex.
Can I share a story? I just remembered. This, like, a memory just came to me. I went to a sexologist with my ex, and the sexologist suggested no sex, and my ex got mad and he refused to go back. He's like, that guy's an idiot. I'm so glad you said that,
get that
because I was like,
it turns out your ex is an idiot. I know you didn't know that.
I didn't know that. Shocker.
You guys are so funny. I know. Trust me. I also have people getting mad at me in session when I recommend that too.
Yeah.
But you know what? Like,
that's kind of hot though. That would turn me on.
Right? See, the whole time I'm just working up here. This is how you have the best sex.
That is. You tell me I can't have sex with somebody, I'm doing it.
I'm paying you double.
But there's so much pressure.
So you tell them they can't have sex, and now
not that they can't, but like, let's start with not having it.
Yeah, because first of all, why? When you come to me, oftentimes you have really been the ringer. Like, it's been really hard. So by the time a couple gets to me and they come and they say, like, we've tried everything, nothing's working, we're just not even really turned on, we're tired, I remove sex and we implement other little sexy things, not necessarily foreplay, but other, sexy things through the day. But actually, what am I doing? I'm taking off a lot of the pressure to have sex and try to have, like, then good sex. Because what I say is, let's rebuild the relationship with sex. Let's detox some of the pressure we put on ourselves. Let's take it off the table. And a lot of people say that just relieving that pressure, once we, like, start putting it back on step by step, then they're like, that worked. Like, yeah. Because a lot of people come to me.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. Because it is a lot of pressure. I mean, I've been experiencing it because it's like, I just haven't been feeling it. And then it's like so much pressure that if we do, it has to be the ultimate best ever. Because it's like once a year.
Well, and does your partner want it, Izzy?
Yeah, but
is he feeling the same?
I think we're both kind of feeling burned out. I don't want to speak for him because he's not on here, but I'll speak for me. Like, and I think you're right on, Mindy. I think it all started with COVID. We live in a 1-bedroom apartment. We were with each other all the time. And that just, wasn't helping, I don't think.
There's also an individual piece there too, right? Sometimes when we're always home, or maybe we don't have our routine coping skills or the things that helped us just feel mentally stable, our libido goes down.
Okay.
So yeah, there was a piece of I'm always with my partner, yes, but then there's also this piece of I've lost all my coping skills, some of the things that made me feel sexy, made me feel like a woman or whatever. But
yeah.
Okay.
Plus, I always liked that like little bit of mystery. Like I always preferred with strangers. So like that was just gone. It's just gone.
Yeah, it's like
ain't
nobody
mystery.
trying to get a 2-night stand.
This just ain't gonna work.
Oh my God.
So,
okay, my God.
Mindy, I'm curious, like, if you've noticed different trends, because how long have you been doing this? How many years have you been a sexologist?
Sexologist a couple years, but I've been working with people in relationships for about 8.
Okay, so have you noticed any like different like trends? Like, what is like the hot topic now in terms of like people coming to you?
Okay, so I would say my clientele, very interestingly, keeps getting younger and younger and younger. I've been working with college kids. What do I see in that age? Typically performance anxiety. There is, so when you first start having sex, no matter what age it is, there is like so much pressure that I have to perform, I have to do it well, I have to give my partner an orgasm. There's so many like false pressures that come up that then they give themselves so much anxiety that they're not able to perform. And then having that traumatic experience only gets the ball rolling and escalates it. Because the next time that they go to try.
Do you think that's a result of like there being so much access to now on the internet to pornography that they're like watching this from a younger and younger age and thinking, I can't do that? Do you think that has any influence over it, or?
I think that's definitely a factor. I hear those comments all the time on, my penis doesn't get that hard, or my body doesn't look like that, or I've never given someone an orgasm like that. And those are all directly coming from porn. And I will say, like, the younger somebody starts watching porn, honestly, the more sexual challenges I find later that they have in life.
Really?
And I tell people, I'm not against porn. I'm not against sex workers. But porn is a cinema. It's a movie. It's your entertainment. It's not real life.
It's not real.
It's not real life.
No. I watch that stuff and I'm like, okay, like, it never looks like that. It never, ever, ever looks like that.
Yeah, but when somebody starts...
And the ones that it does look real, you don't want to watch those. It's gross.
I know which ones you mean.
I'm like, ooh, that looks too, like, real. No, I don't want to see that.
Mm-hmm. And the younger you start...
yeah, I can't watch that. That's real. Too real. Oh my God.
I can see a razor burn from here, girl.
Oh, no. Swipe right. Wait, which way is swiping?
Left.
Denying.
Left is deny, left. I think.
Oh, okay. Then I just accepted that porn.
You did. I'm a huge fan of dating apps over here. I'm a huge...
really?
Yes! I think they have a place. I get a lot of pushback from my clients nowadays. But I tell them, I said, excuse me, you're working full time, you're busy. Dating apps, dating is like the law of probability. You have to go...
Yeah, it's numbers game.
It's a numbers game. And when you're busy... Hey, a dating app is a really great way to kind of identify, I might be interested in this person. And when I hear you say, I might be, I say, go for it. Give it a try.
Do it.
Do it.
Yeah,
Do it. Why not? I would be, if Jason dumped me, I'd be on every one of those things.
I think they're great.
I'd be swiping left, right, and center.
Hey, honestly, you got to put in the time. Like I said, it's a numbers game
Yeah.
because there's so many
I'd be
people.
winking, clapping, the whole thing.
You'd get a lot of
Okay.
responses.
Okay, so that you've made them quit having sex. Now we're starting to talk. We're starting to work through our issues.
Yeah.
What next? What, like, do they get to start touching or anything like that? Or where does it go next? Or is it just really individualized?
It's always really individuals, but like overall, someplace I may go is I would say, okay, now I want the two of you to date each other. Remember when you first
Okay.
started to get to know each other and you would date each other? You put your phones down, you asked how their day was, you looked them in the eye, you maybe had dinner without the TV on, right? Go back and date. Learn your partner today. Because
That sounds rough. That sounds like a rough one.
and remember,
But I love it. I do love
and I've
it.
taken sex off the table, so my clients either love me or hate me at this point. But there really is like a means to an end because what am I doing? I'm helping them really try to just reconnect mentally here.
Okay, so I have several friends that are going through this and they like do not want to have sex with their husbands at
It
all.
is more common than
It's just
anybody thinks.
they just don't want to. And I'm always like, why do you feel like that? Well, he doesn't even think about me. I'm like, well, I mean, what makes you think that? Like, but they don't ever talk. They don't talk. Like they had, so she's putting all the stuff that she's afraid he might be feeling about her on him. And he's putting, I'm guessing, I'm not talking to their husbands or whatever, but I'm guessing he's feeling rejected as well. Like I would be feeling rejected if there was like nothing coming from the other sex or the same sex, the other person in my bed.
There's nothing worse than feeling like your partner is rejecting you in sex.
Agreed.
Like nothing worse.
Agreed.
And people are so afraid because, like I said, sex is super vulnerable to be rejected.
I would rather Jason say, I don't love your personality rather than say, I don't want to have sex with you.
I hear it. I get it. I get it. It's
I would be fine if I actually assume he doesn't love my personality.
Your personality
I honestly
sucks.
don't care. But if he doesn't want to have sex with me, I'm devastated.
you and the majority of most of the other people.
Yeah.
Good.
It is heartbreaking and it goes straight, like we internalize it. And so a lot of times at this point, people just don't even like initiate anymore. And that's why let's take it off the table. Let's go back to dating each other. Like, when you're dating each other, you really put your best foot forward. You
Yeah.
ask,
Right. You get dressed up.
you
Put on
and
makeup.
all these things too, like they make you feel good on the inside. If you want to increase your libido, you have to do something to feel good in your own body and in your mind. So there's a piece here. I always say when I work with couples, I'm working with the couple, but I'm also working with each person individually. Like, what are you guys doing individually outside of each other to make yourself just feel good on the inside?
And do you keep like if a couple
yeah.
sees you, do you keep them both sort of accountable? Because I'm always afraid like I'm going to be the trier, and then the other side isn't going to try. Like, do you try to keep them both accountable? Like, what are you doing this week, and what are you doing this week? How do you work with two people?
So I always tell my couple clients, my client is now the relationship. So I'm constantly thinking how you two individuals are impacting my client. So yeah, if one person, is acting in one way, like we go there, we talk about how those actions, those behaviors impact the relationship. I am very much like, okay, the three of us are a team. If I'm working with a couple, I'm like, the three of us are a team here, so we're all on the same page. This is very neutral. I really don't ever try to place blame anywhere because that's not motivating.
Right.
But I do talk about, okay, how these actions or beliefs or moods impact the relationship and their partner.
I remember when Jason and I were going through this, I always like I'd have to remind myself that it was both of us, like, we both wanted the best for everything, because sometimes I would feel like so angry
Yeah.
that he made me feel rejected that I'd want him to feel rejected.
Yeah.
Is that normal? Or am I just a bitch?
No, that is very normal. That's very
Yes,
normal.
and yes.
Because that's like our defense mechanisms, right? That's not even the psychologist of me speaking, but that's just very normal.
Just
But it
okay.
gets you in a cycle, right? Then we see the relationship in this cycle, and I talk to my clients too. How do we break this cycle you're in? Like, first we identify what it is,
Right.
and I'm like, let's break it now. Where are we gonna break it?
That's
Yeah, I'm curious about your own. If you don't mind sharing, if it's off the table, it's off the table. But like, has it helped you being a sexologist? Has it helped your own sex life?
You know what I think it's done? I think I have always very much internalized that pleasure was shameful. I think that came way back from like childhood messages, societal messages. So I think one of the things I've really noticed in myself is really trying to push through some of the shame around masturbation. Like if you've read any of my articles, I really do go into that a lot. Also, one of the other pieces, I just had a baby 8.5 months ago. So I've really started to write for a few mom societies, just talking about how the body changes, that's going to change the way sex feels. That's going to change the way you feel in your body, your libido, your moods. So I really try to be open with my experience, but then I definitely poll other people, like poll them on Instagram or poll just groups that I'm with too, so that I can kind of get a collective. So if you read my stuff, it's not just solely my experience.
Izzy, I hope you don't mind. I'm going to tell some of your business, but she had thyroid cancer,
Okay.
and it like I'm wondering if that didn't affect her libido. Like, really, because she first of all, she had to be alone for a very long time because she was like, they put this pellet of radiation inside of her. And then she was, and there's no more lonely feeling than having cancer, I don't think. And then, like, I feel like that was a like just and even the physical implications of that. Like, so when you have something wrong with you and then she got through it, but how do you get back to just something as frivolous as pleasure after that?
Yeah, that's a very good observation because I didn't even connect the two. So, yeah.
Wow. And I would say, how could it not impact your libido? I'm thinking everything in our world impacts it. So being alone, going through that pain, having your body change. And I always say, we don't go back to pleasure. It's not, oh, this used to feel good in the past. Let me try it again. Sure, that's like a good exploratory, but our pleasure is constantly changing. So after some experience like this, I would even encourage you now, like, what feels good in my body now?
Right. Ooh.
Okay. Interesting.
See, we fixed you, Izza.
I'm done. I'm good. Thank you. I'm gonna go masturbate.
So-
I'll be right back. What
So speaking of masturbation,
Oh yeah.
let's talk about
Toys.
masturbation for a little bit. I love masturbation. I think that's so important. I read, like, I've always done it since I knew I could.
And Lizzy, you're a fan
But,
of
like,
toys, right? Like you love toys.
No, I don't love toys.
Okay.
I don't need a t-shirt that says that. But I do love my vibrator.
Good.
That's like my toy. That's my number one, like, that I'll use quite frequently, But, like, I'm not ashamed of masturbation, and in our household it really wasn't like, it wasn't something my mom shamed us. She didn't say go masturbate or anything, but she never, like, made eye contact with it, or she just said, like, your body is for your own pleasure.
Wow. Wow, that's that's so amazing. That's very different than my growing up experiencing the Midwest culture. So,
Well, she's
Well, I'm
from the Midwest.
but my mom Yeah.
Well, where did you
but
live? Because I should have lived there.
my mom was a flower child. So like I was raised kind of in that, like she was quite young when she had me and she was just free. She was a free spirit. So, and she's an artist and all kinds of stuff. So she was progressive. But for everyone else I know, they will not, they don't talk about it and they don't admit it and they don't like, they don't, they're not into it. Like if I could literally masturbate every single day, I would.
Yeah. Yeah. I actually like, I really admire your,
That's my mother.
I think it's amazing how you're able just to do that. I will say, like, going through the experience that I've been through with my education, I still, like I said, I still struggle with it. I still struggle with the stigma and the shame around masturbation. And I don't know if I've said it yet, but I'm sponsored by about 20 different sex toy brands. Like, I am definitely pro toys. But yeah, there always is this like shame that I still experience.
It's interesting.
It's so weird. Did your mom have a primary part of that shaming you?
Well, first of all, we would never speak of it. This was something I didn't even learn about masturbation until college, and I think it was by accident. But absolutely, this was not something we talked about. And I think that's absolutely where it all came from. Something that you don't talk about to a kid that becomes really taboo.
You didn't talk about it either, right? You
Oh my
didn't talk
gosh.
about masturbation.
No, but funny thing, my grandmother talked about it, but my mother did not. So like, just really funny. My grandmother was like giving me sex tips. She's like, don't have it too young and too often because it's going to get boring. She's like, do not sleep with underwear on. You want to air that stuff out. Like my grandmother gave me all these.
My grandma said the no underwear thing for sure.
Yeah,
my grandma said the no underwear.
She just like had all these tips for me. So it was talked about in my house, but not by my mom. Yeah, and I remember, I had like friends introduce me to masturbation when I was in, I think, 5th or 6th grade. And ever since then, it's been on like Donkey Kong.
Nice.
Yeah.
Wow, you had some good friends. I don't think any of my friends are. We didn't even really talk about it.
Where we grew up in the Midwest too. Where did you grow up?
Minnesota.
Northern, like around Chicago, so probably, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'm Northern Minnesota.
Oh, that's awesome. I do kind of now hear some Minnesota in your voice. That's funny. So my great grandmother told me when I was 15 that the best form of birth control is an aspirin. And I was like, even at 15, I was like, that's not a thing. But she said, all you have to do is hold it between your knees.
Oh. That's funny.
And now I wish she was alive because I would tell her about doggy style.
So Mindy, tell us about some of these toys and like, where can we get them? Like, what's
and what's the best one to start with?
Oh my gosh. They're all great to start with. Okay, so I can provide you guys with the link, and you can have it maybe in the bio or something for this, but you can go to thesensualspot.com, and there's about 20 different brands there, all the way from Fredericks of Hollywood, the Body Wand, the Rabbit Company, Ovo, Love Distance, that's kind of a new one, but they have sex toys that are for long distance. So they're very cool. They have about 6 different ones, so you can choose which pleasure spots you have, and then you can give somebody the app, and they can be anywhere in the world, and they can
Lizzy, should we do it with each
your
other?
pleasure.
I feel like we're there. Yes, absolutely.
During the recording,
How
we're on different time zones, so this could get weird.
3 a.m.
How exciting though, right? Like some of them you wear, you wear them so you can just have them underneath like your skirt or something, and then your partner can just like pop in with the little pleasure touch. I think it's a great way to keep things spicy.
That's cool.
Okay, I need to ask this because a lot of our listeners are moms. Can you recommend a silent vibrator?
Okay, so nowadays most of the vibrators are pretty silent.
They are.
They they are. Yeah, and especially the ones that we carry too. The Body One and the Rabbit Company, those ones are really great. I love the Body One because I tell people the Body One is more targeted towards clitoral stimulation, so it doesn't have many for penetration, but it's really great to use all over the body. So for a lot of people, right, it's not just about stimulating the genitals, it's about turning their whole body on. So I like those vibrators because you can use them on the back and the neck and the chest. It just feels really sensual all over. So those are fun. And they're all pretty silent nowadays.
Okay. All right. I'll believe you.
Good.
I'll believe you. I'm gonna order.
Good question,
Yeah,
though.
me too.
Because if you're, if you have a roommate or something, like these are definitely things you want to look for. Or if you're traveling, like travel locks. Some of the toys now, like most of them also offer that travel lock.
Well, here's a life hack. If you didn't get the expensive travel lock one, you can just take the batteries out of it. Just for the trip. Because you do not want your suitcase vibrating.
All right.
So funny.
Mindy.
What else? What else can we get? What else can...
Well, I'm a huge proponent too for anybody, right? Like a lot of people think that lingerie is just for women. Absolutely not. So on this site too, there are so many sexy lingerie outfits, and if you're noticing that your libido is just down, one of the things I recommend too is wearing lingerie for yourself. Wear it to work. Wear it when you're at home. Wear it underneath your clothes. Wear it to make yourself feel good.
I like that because there's like Jason's never sees them, but sometimes if I'm feeling down, I'll put on my red panties, and like nobody needs to see them, but I know that they're on, and I feel a little. I call them my big girl panties.
I think it's amazing,
and I just feel a little more sassy.
Good. And does that turn you on then?
It does. It does. It makes me feel a little more powerful.
Nice. But that is sexy, right? Feeling powerful. That's going to increase your libido.
So sexy.
Right? And we have to do things. I say like our libido, we have to do things to make ourselves feel sexy. Like it's a conscious effort that we have to make every day. This isn't just something that just stays up. We don't just increase our libido.
I think that's super important. Like, I think sex is just like anything else. Like, you have to eat right. You have to work out. You have to put in effort, right? Every other aspect of your life, you put in effort, but we somehow think sex is just supposed to come like that, right? But it's about putting in effort in that area as well. So,
and remember, it's in your mind. So do things through the day that make you feel really good, that make you feel powerful. And a lot of times they won't have anything to do with sex. Like I hear from a lot of my clients too, like just listening to certain music makes them feel really good. Or I don't know, some of their coping skills that like they really enjoy, maybe it's like working out or some artistic piece. Like these are things that also increase your libido.
And it's probably not like watching 3 seasons of a series on Netflix, right?
I don't know. It could be. It could be.
In your sexy lingerie and your bag of chips. Okay, Mindy. Any like parting words that you want to like leave our listeners with? Any like message that you would like to like from your heart?
I think if I leave anything, it would just be expand your definition of sex. Sex is not just penetration. Expand it really wide. And then also an orgasm is just a bonus, and your goal is pleasure. So if you're enjoying it, keep going. If you don't like it, say something.
Ooh, okay, that's the thing. I didn't know that was a thing. Okay. All right, well, that's noted.
Yeah.
That is... Okay, can you please, this is the most important, can you please tell our listeners how to get a hold of you and just anything that you can, what you would recommend, how to get to you or to your advice?
Yes, so I am posting, well, first of all, on my Instagram page, I'm always giving away free sex toys, and it's the good ones too. So so if you're looking for sex tips and some free sex toys, follow me on Instagram at Miami Sex Therapist, And from there, you can also go on my website. Anywhere in Florida, I offer sex therapy. So if anyone out there is struggling, just feeling sexy, or if you're struggling with any sexual dysfunction, I have tips for you. We can get through this.
Okay. I love
Yeah,
that.
I
love
already
that
feel
we can get
better.
through
Like
this.
I feel like I've had like a session of therapy. It's amazing. So
Good.
thank you.
Good.
This has been
No,
wonderful.
thank you guys so much, and I've had so much fun. I love talking about these
we
sexy
have
little
too.
things. So I hope people can take away just any pressure that maybe they've been feeling around.
I think it'll help
having
a lot of
sex.
people.
Yeah, me too.
Well,
We love
we
you.
love you.
Thank you
We think you're
guys.
amazing.
Yeah,
Thank
we
you
do.
for all you do.